to do things. My name is Temple Melville. I'm one of the principal investors in Scotcoin. This is Douglas Drummond, who is our Chief Technical Officer. And this gentleman is Ronan, who's going to tell us about Etherplay games in the blockchain. His talk tonight is going to be about 25-30 minutes. And after that, there'll be a question and answer session. You can ask anything. As Willie always says, don't forget, you cannot ask a stupid question. The only question that's stupid is the one you don't ask. So please, 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 when we come to it, please just ask anything. Even if you think it's ridiculous, just ask, because we'll be happy to tell you. And hopefully between the three of us we can answer you. We have got some pizza coming, and we have got some beer there. And I think at the point when the beer and when the pizza arrives, we might go and kind of get it and stop for a couple of minutes and then we'll go and get it. But there we are, that's what's going to happen. And I'll turn you over to Ronan. There you are.
Yeah, just a quick question for you. Basically, I would like to know who, I don't think I will manage to change too much of my presentation, but just to maybe skip things. So basically, how much of you are involved in games? Involved. Okay, like maybe more on the dev side, kind of, but yeah, I mean, as a player also. Okay, and blockchain, who know about it? Okay, cool. Okay, so yeah, so Etherplay, basically this kind of project actually started back maybe 6 years ago, before I even knew about blockchain. And basically, I was working in the free-to-play industry, and I was a bit, with actually lots of my colleagues as well, a bit concerned about how it affects the game design. So I always wanted to find a different model so that the game designer can focus on the game. But I wanted also still the small scale kind of game, so where a player will not need to invest so much. So basically the idea is a skill game platform. Oops. Sorry, I don't know. Okay. So yeah. So basically, the idea, as I say, so for skill game platform, so it's basically you pay a small price, like it could be like an arcade machine, basically. But actually, we can currently go to 20 pence. And you get to play a game. And the idea on top of that is that player can compete for high score, and the top player win money. So that's a skill game platform. And so this is a few example of the two games we have live right now. So kind of simple game, arcade type, and this is a high score, and this is a price, for example. I don't know which week was it, but one of the price you could get. So one slide I put today that just because I just talked to a game developer, and one of the things I met with game developer is always this weird feeling with skill game platform because you play with money. And there is always this question behind, is it gambling? And so legally, it depends. In most countries, it's not the case. In some countries, like US, it's a bit more complex. It depends on the state. And morally, I think it's a good question. And I would say it probably depends on the type of games. And I think we can ask a few questions maybe to answer that is how much luck is involved? And actually, in the legal aspect, is what the question, that's the question that defines whether it's gambling or not. Does it generate addiction, and what kind? Because I guess game is always about addiction in some way. And where maybe it's most important is how it compares to the free-to-play games, because this is quite known that this produces addiction similar to gambling. So if it can go better than that, I think I would say it's interesting, but it's always something to keep in mind. And the goal with Etherplay is also so it was always to bring a new platform for game developers. And ideally, the game will be worthy enough of the price. So then winning is just become a personal goal and not about money. So to make it short, it's like you didn't lose money while you spent it, which in the gambling, you will feel you lose money when you lose. So that's kind of the idea. but it's still an open question, I guess. So what is unique about Etherplay, because this skill platform exists already, is that we are using the Web3 ecosystem. So it's basically the use of blockchain. And it allows us to have a low price per game. And if you compare with other platforms, they could get to this price, but only because players need to put a deposit. So with Etherplay, you skip that. Of course, you need cryptocurrency, but as a cryptocurrency user, you can just pay 20 cents, no account, no basically because we don't need an account, so we don't even store anything about our players, except of course the replay of the game, and you get instant reward. It's a 1 week. We run competition for 1 week, so of course you have to wait for the end of the week to actually compare the scores, but then it's automatic. There is no withdrawal limit like in other competitors. And on top of that, we have the transparent record of the competition. So actually, we go even further than that. We are probably fair. So you could look. So the way it's probably fair is that you can check that if we cheated, basically. So we don't generate the seed and all is this on the Ethereum blockchain. And actually, we are also planning to be unique in the variety of game we offer compared to the other platform, which focus on puzzle kind of game. And we want to also get inspired by the free-to-play. What I think free-to-play really bring to the game, to the gaming world is this update, this frequent update, the 2-week cycle that all the company work for, providing new feature and new stuff to users. So I think it could well be applied to this platform as well. And we are an open platform as well, so there is some skill platforms that do that now. So you can make games for us. And so the idea is we already take a fee from the player, which is 25%, like a standard in skill game. We might go lower, I mean, we open on that. And then again, we take the standard, like 70% go to the game developer. So the idea is that you can make game and get paid in Ether. So this is the website. I mean, I will skip, maybe I can show later. So the idea is, so this is only possible thanks to Ethereum and I mean, basically the Web3 ecosystem. Why, I mean, what does this thing provide is that it's a decentralized payment mechanism. So it allows potentially cheaper, I mean, it's not always, it's a complex question because when you bring the scale, then things change. But the future is promising, and I think this will always have this advantage of being able to do cheaper payment. It's also a notary system, and that's what we use to provide a record of all the competition. So we know when the player started, and we know when he ended. So we can check. I mean, for example, you cannot take longer time than other players. We will not allow. And another aspect, which actually for the Etherplay skill game platform we don't use, is that we use actually, but we could actually we will. But basically, it's not necessary. But it's like you can compute things on Ethereum, and you can be sure that what it's written will be executed. And so the latest project we work on uses that. And yeah. So to interact with all this, you have these Ethereum browsers. It can be as complex as a full browser, which contains a node and like Mist, or it can be just an app that will sign your transaction, which is like a U-port, for example. And so the thing about computation on things, you can make another kind of game which are entirely computed on the blockchain. And that's what we wanted to do with our latest project. And so we kind of see it. So it's kind of the first unstoppable game, I will say. There was some attempt, but I think they always never went so far to bring a nice interface. And that's what we wanted to show, basically, the world, bringing the blockchain to this fun game interface. So it's different from our skill game platform. You can access it on Swarm, which is a decentralized file system. So actually, we cannot even destroy the game. It runs without us. But currently, it might not be alive because the Swarm network is new. It's more an experiment for now. And it will be, and it's all testnet also only. we plan to put on the mainnet, and hopefully we'll put on a website as well with a traditional DNS. But actually, I wanted to show it basically. So this is a website for the platform. But what I wanted to show is the fact that BZZ is a platform. So there is lots of tech involved here because so it's a protocol for Swarm, the distributed file storage, and the name here is not ETH is not Ethiopia. I am actually from Dundee, but this is Ethereum like naming service, which means that there is no server involved in this game. And so if I load it in this specific browser, then you get the game running and you can play. And then I need to connect stuff. Unfortunately, I didn't think that just today there was a fork on the Ethereum testnet, so I will not be able to actually show the game running in that browser, which run on my node, which is sync with the bad fork, basically. So if actually I could, but I think it's stolen somewhere. And so anyway, so instead I will show you another version which is running, which still connect to the blockchain, to the testnet, but we use a plugin. Actually, I mean, it's a recommended way currently to interact with our platform as well. And so this is the address of the game. I create a game. So currently it's a fixed price, so everybody can meet each other. So here it's quite a big bet. So you one Ether bet, and basically you start with 50 units. You have a duration of 1 day. So it's an asynchronous game where the idea is that you can play on your own schedule, and match also the fact that on blockchain things are not fast. So and so basically I will play. So first you will look to find if a game already exists with the same parameter. Here he didn't find it. So I will create a new game from scratch. And here it's a plugin that allows me to connect to the blockchain. And so the game has been created. So it just here it warned me that the data have been stored. So there is some data that need to be stored, and this only stored on the device you're actually using. So now this is a game starting. So I mean, it's slow. If it works, someone might have joined, and then we can continue. But let's go back to. Okay. So. Oh, actually, okay. So I wanted to also explain a bit what is built behind the scene. I don't know what's going on. Technical problem. Oops. Oops. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. So I mean, anyway, so under the hood, there is basically the interface that is basically the JavaScript that interact between the game to simplify the making of the game and the okay, it's a bit slow. I don't know why, but let me close a few things. Okay. Okay. So yeah, there is an interface. Let me go back if I missed something before. Yeah. So actually I describe it later, but basically there is two parts. There is a skill game platform and the tug of war, the fully decentralized game. And skill game platform is actually a bit more complex because it doesn't use only the blockchain. There is a smart contract, there is an interface, and then there is the backend that will read the score and replay to verify them, and the web server that displays it. While tug of war is actually in some way simpler. So just for so we use Axe, which is a language that targets JavaScript. We built it's just 2,000 lines of code for the kind of, and the game. So we have two games. Then they are simple games as well. Backend blockchain reader, and this is a web server. We use Go and smart contract. So basically, in the end, if we were not using blockchain technology, with probably a lot more thousands of lines, because blockchain basically gives you already a lot of things that we don't have to manage the account of our player. We don't need to store the funds that they put in. So the security is basically increased by default. And similarly for this game. So the Web trust. So basically we use the Web3 stack, which is basically a way to interact with the blockchain, with Ethereum in particular, but it's actually being ported to other blockchain like Bitcoin. And it's all about decentralization, but it increases security and privacy in some way. And concretely is a way you can send transactions, sign messages, and all the stuff that relate to blockchain. And so the library we provide is a JavaScript library where that's the only thing you need if you want to make a game that runs on our platform. So if you are a game developer interested to try it out, so you will need this library, and you will need to make sure that the game can be replayed like the same way as the player did. So you need to record all the input, etc. So what is in for a game developer? So you can make game, and then you have a different business model. And here you don't need knowledge of blockchain if you use the thing. But if you are someone who will be interested to know about blockchain, I will be interested if you have a cool idea of a turn-based game. So similarly, that use only the blockchain. I mean, just to give maybe a perspective on that, is like, let's say you wanted to. So I think I skipped something that I should have mentioned. But the game basically, you had 50 units each. It's a two-player game. And if you wanted to play this game without blockchain, you will sit on a table, and imagine you don't know that person. And the way to play that, you will put each, like, let's say, £5 on the table, so that if someone wins, then you know you can get the money. But nothing blocks the person to run away or whatever, kill you or whatever happen. So with blockchain, we can now do the same thing with people across the world, and you can be sure because of the way it works, you can be sure that the winner will get the money. And there is no way around. And so that's the idea behind this game. So what if you think to remember it? I don't know why it's okay. So yeah, the crypto community is growing, the ecosystem too. So Browser just put a few days ago, it was announced that they put a payment API. I mean, it's in progress, but payment API, and it allow you to do cryptocurrency payment. This is not enough for us, but this is look, it's interesting that it's going that. And I also wanted to say that blockchain and gaming is not only about there is lots of actors in the scene, and I mean, I will mention a few. I probably forgot a lot, but so there is Beyond the Void, like an indie game company that basically crowdfunded their game by selling in basically the currency, the in-game currency to the people interested. So I think this is going to be very common for game and big game, especially because this is a kind of game that can scale with Spell of Genesis. Actually, I mean, it's in collaboration with Switzerland and a team from Channel 4 in Glasgow. So they do a card game with a player having the ownership of their cards on the blockchain. So this means other game can actually use these cards as well. I might just switch off my node. So, and then there is an interesting blog post by Onage, which is a company that actually focused on making it easier for a game developer to do these kind of things. And they have a nice blog post about the idea of what they call crypto property, a way now, because this kind of a way to revolutionize the way you can own digital assets. And for games, this is it can be very big. So. Yeah, so they are also, so if you're a game developer, they are looking for a game developer to experiment with our platform. And I guess there is also maybe other idea. And as I say, if you have cool idea, I would be happy to discuss blockchain-only games. And lastly, I wanted to also maybe, if you are interested in Ethereum and blockchain, and you would like a meetup, a regular meetup, maybe in Dundee, and what kind of topics, so we can discuss later. So before finishing, I want to. Okay, this is this one. So let's just see if someone played while I was away. Yeah. So this is a game. So this interface. So basically, someone joined my game, and now I need to make my move. So I select the number of units I send. And then this is sending a transaction on the blockchain. And now, basically, we will need to wait to see the other player doing his move. And then, basically, a battle starts, and the person who has more units wins the round. But if he spends too much, then he is in maybe a worse situation. So this is a kind of game. This, yeah, basically. So. Yeah, let me know, and that's it. That's it, really, yeah. So any question? Or yeah.
Are you using these games as a focal point or a front end piece of entertainment in order to allow the user, the front end client, as it were, to remain entertained whilst mining in the background?
No.
What is the purpose then of a continuous game running on a turn-by-turn basis, continually in blockchain without crunching algorithm?
The purpose is because this cannot be done elsewhere. Only blockchain allows this kind of game with money. I mean, you could of course have a third party, but yeah, no, you could do. But then you have all the, yeah, you have to trust that third party. The idea, I think for me, this, in some way, it's one of the best introduction to blockchain in some way. That you can do things without. I mean, you can do things like it better even than you will do as a two-human meeting on the table. And because else you will have to go to someone else to take your money and be the judge of what you do. Here we get rid of that. We can now connect to someone, and Etherplay, my company, will have nothing to do anymore. It will exist on a distributed file systems forever, and we cannot destroy the people who just play.
So then my follow-up question to that would be is, because it's all to do with decentralization and you removing yourself from the overall equation, if a user was to run an IP trace just through command prompt, they open up command line and they run an IP trace and they want to check how many server nodes they're connected through, well, it then show up that it is a person-to-person or a peer-to-peer continuous
Yeah, no,
would there then be a somewhat centralized node of IP address that then contains data?
And so for this game, there is not even a need. It's asynchronous, so they just send their move on the blockchain, and Actually, there is another way to do. You can have a state channel where you basically you put your money still in the blockchain, so only the winner can get it. But then instead of communicating every time through making transaction, you just communicate between each other, signing messages, saying, okay, I do this move, and then you sign the new state, and then the other person, if it agrees, then he signs, and then basically at the end, you either the loser will sign I lose, or he just give up and the timeout come, and the winner basically can go to the blockchain and take his thing. We didn't do that first because we cannot, the sure reason we didn't need, and there is actually a kind of a user experience complexity if you start to use state channel, because you need to make sure to come back just to make your case. While here, we get rid of that. You just need to come in time and put your transaction. This one, yeah. So actually, yeah. So sorry. I mean, actually, that's an interesting thing I wanted to discuss as well, because yeah. So that's why. So there is two things: the skill game platform, which is a skill, and this one actually, it's a question, an open question, I think. But yeah, I mean, I would like to discuss with you basically because yeah.
Can I suggest we pizza there, still warm, come and help yourselves, have a beer, and we can all come